Hey everyone, welcome back. It's your boy BBT TECH, and today we're diving into the EWEADN Z7 flagship gaming mouse. If you're a fan of lightweight, high-performance gaming mice like the Razer Viper Mini, this one might just blow your mind, especially at its price point of around $90. I've been testing this bad boy for a couple weeks now and putting it through its paces in games like Counter-Strike, Arc Raiders, and honestly, I'm genuinely excited to share with y'all what I think about this mouse. And a huge shout out goes out to EWEADN for sending me this one for review. I love the previous S9 and this definitely met all my expectations and then some. But I have to know that all opinions are my own, and as always, no prior review was done by EWEADN upon release of this video, like with all of my sponsored videos. So let's get right into the unboxing. Out of the gate, the packaging screams premium, especially when it's this cheap. It comes in a sleek carbon fiber style box that feels like you're opening a luxury watch or something, complete with a secure latch inside so you can bring this around with you to LAN tournaments or just when you're traveling around. It's a really nice way to bring your mice with you. So what do we get inside the box? Well, obviously you get the mouse, 8K Hertz receiver, a USB-C cable, and some anti-slip grip tape and extra PTFE skates. And at the time of purchase, they have a special promotion where if you purchase this mouse, you'll get a free coiled aviator cable valued around $22. So some bundles might even include a fancy storage case, making the whole package feel like you're getting way more than what you paid for. We're talking over $145 in value during promos at the time of filming. Well, let's get right into the mouse. So the mouse weighs in at a feather light weight of 52 grams. And it immediately feels pretty balanced in the hand. I would say the back hump where the battery is probably located is a little bit heavier than the front, but nothing to complain about. The composite carbon fiber shell has this cool marble texture with gold accents on the side buttons, and the scroll wheel and it's available in multiple colors such as black, purple, red, and white. But let's not get distracted here. This mouse is not just about its looks. The coating that they have is what they call the nano ice skin or silk sheet ice coating, some may call it. It's grippy, resists fingerprints, and it's pretty good for sweat and stain resistance. And it keeps this thing pretty cool during long gaming sessions. Honestly, it feels a lot more premium than some $200 mice I reviewed. Hate to call you guys out, but the vaccine mice is really not in comparison to this mouse, and this mouse is half of that cost. No shade, just had to point it out because the Vaxi, you guys gotta step up your game. In all seriousness now, we are in 2026 and you get manufacturers like this from EWEADN. You really can't overlook at what is coming out from them. Don't get lost in the sauce with big name brands because truly, this is some quality stuff at a fraction of the cost. The Z7 is a symmetrical mouse, meaning it's not going to have that ergonomic palm type grip that you see in ergo asymmetrical mice like the Death Adder or the Zowie EC2. The mouse is optimized for small to medium hands, and if you're coming from a Razer Viper Mini, the shape is nearly identical, which is perfect for claw, fingertip, or even hybrid palm grip if your hands aren't too big. The carbon fiber shell is rigid with minimal flex, no creaks or rattles, even when I press it pretty hard. So the oversized PTFE skates, let's look at this. The glide is very smooth on my glass pad. However, for some users, as well as people like me, I tend to gravitate towards dot skates if you're using a glass pad because the full-size skates, while they're nice to have, they do tend to pick up more dust or hair particles, which is way more prevalent on a glass pad. If you guys are using a cloth pad, this mouse should fit perfectly fine for you guys. The speed is great, and I wouldn't say it's slow, but also not the fastest. But I would say it's on like a faster end if you guys are really into your mouse gauge speeds. Okay, now let's get into the buttons. They're using the Kale optical micro switches on the mains, and they're rated for 150 million clicks, which feel crisp, clean, and you got them locks on if you know what I'm saying. The side buttons are metal coated and protrude a tad bit more than other mice, but honestly this makes them a lot more easier to reach, which is really nice to see as some manufacturers really overlook their mouse button 4 and mouse button 5 buttons. Especially when you're playing games like Arc Raiders, these buttons can be just as important as your mouse 1 and mouse 2. The TTC Gold scroll wheel is tactical with defined steps. I never had any accidental inputs during intense movement. However, there is some instances where I'd say this could be the major con for this mouse. It could just be my copy, or maybe it is intended, but the scroll wheel doesn't feel like it's fully integrated into the shell, if that makes sense. Like, while the scroll wheel doesn't miss a beat, it's one of the components that doesn't feel as premium. It has a loose feeling when you touch it, when you're making your adjustments. Like, say when you're opping your in between a quick scope and then you're jumping out with a movement like a b-hop or something, and you use your mouse wheel, it doesn't feel as great as something like the Zowie EC2 mouse wheel. But honestly, this mouse is still pretty good. So overall build quality, I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's durable, lightweight, and while looks can be subjective, I'm just gonna have to say this thing looks pretty sick. Like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. So let's get right into the specs. I'm just gonna show you guys a quick image for the specs on their website, which I will also leave a link down below for you guys to check it out. But essentially, this mouse has everything that you need for a 2026 competitive wireless gaming mouse. So there's not much else to mention here. However, I have to highlight the battery life. It is very impressive. They have a 500 milliamp cobalt battery with the NTC thermal management. Not reading too much into this because I don't know what that really does in a sense. Maybe it keeps it cool with the fast charging, but not reading off any specs and calculating how many hours I spend on the mouse since I don't do this anymore. I will say that this mouse outlasts my Zowie EC2 and my G Pro Superlight 2 with more than a full charge. Like, I will charge those other mice maybe once or maybe 1.5 times before this mouse would die. So that's a very impressive feat for this mouse. As well, that 1 minute charging time for 10 hours of battery life can come in very clutch, honestly. You don't ever have to use this mouse in a wired format. Now, the web-based driver, this is also something that's, hitting up with most mice these days, and it's pretty good. Like, not much to say on this. It lets you tweak the DPI, polling rate, buttons, macros, and even your liftoff distance, making it very simple but effective. There's also a mode called a Super Esports mode for static 20K plus hertz scanning, but honestly, I never really use this, so I can't say too much on it. I'm not really into that type of thing where I'm constantly switching in between the profiles. I usually set my mouse and forget it. Now, let's talk about the performance in games. And I'm pretty sure this is where everyone's just waiting for me to talk about. This is where the Z7 it shines. It performs phenomenally, and in Counter-Strike, it never disappointed me. Even for like 99% of the time, I did have that one issue where I had some weird liftoff distance, but I'm not going to give a fault to the mouse because I was never able to reproduce that issue. So now here are my final thoughts of the EWEADN Z7 or Z7, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Well, this mouse is a beast, and honestly, there's nothing really coming close with any of the big brand competitors unless you're looking into the Chinese mice like the EWEADN Z7. This pretty much has all the specs you want for a 2026 competitive gaming wireless experience. It is your Razer Viper Mini. I'd say it's practically identical, but maybe it's a little bit off here and there, but you're not going to notice. But what you will notice is the insane battery life, the wireless connectivity, the switches, the scroll wheel, everything about it. It's a very well implemented mouse, and I'm very surprised to see this coming out of EWEADN. So yeah, if I were to rate this mouse, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. If you're someone who's been after a proper wirelessly spec'd out Razer Viper Mini, well, now's your time to shine and pick this up, because this is maybe a quarter the price of the Signature Edition, which is crazy as to how much Razer was charging for that mouse to begin with. But yeah, if y'all were vibing with this review, feel free to give it a like, subscribe, as you know what, your boy's desperately on that algae come up, and I need all the help I can get at this point. So yeah, this is BBT Tech signing out.